All right. Welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast. This is episode 77. I am your host, Supreme King, and joined with me, as always, is my co host, and his name is.
It's your guy on Basis.
How is everything doing today, man? How is
I'm
everything?
chilling. I had a long day yesterday, so I was like out all day. Today I was just sleeping in. But other than that, I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm all right. Technical difficulties are starting a little bit later. It's still going to come out on time for the people. But for anybody wondering, half my Saturday was missing. But that's all right. I'm still good. And we're going to get through this really nice and quick. It don't got to take too long. We got a few topics here and there, but I think it could still go by quickly because it's some of the stuff we've kind of been talking about this whole time. It's just starting to be a little bit more fruition with everybody else. But some of the stuff that's happening, I kind of already called. We already called here. So we just going to get right into it. I actually want to start with one of your extra topics that you wrote down from the past or the past you wrote down before, and we can go on from there. But you had a question about the worst experience or the worst game. What was the question overall?
Yeah. So the question I want to know, what was the worst game you played this year?
Okay,
And it
so
doesn't have to necessarily just be a bad game. If like in comparison to like everything you played, this just happened to be the worst, or it can straight up just be like the worst game. Like I'm bashing.
I mean, yeah, I don't really want to bash it. I just think it just so happened to be the worst, because it ties into some other stuff. But basically, maybe I would have to say Destiny 2, to be honest.
Fair.
Ironically, with like with everybody else like going in on like the Bungie and the Destiny thing and the Destiny game not being one of the ongoing games of the year or something like that, like people making sure they didn't want that in the category. It wasn't terrible of an experience. I just felt like we were kind of doing a whole lot and a whole lot of nothing at the same time. I think the gameplay or the gunplay is pretty fine. Had a good concept, but it just seemed to be very tedious. And there was the situation where in co-op we had to just keep repeating the same thing, even if like there were moments where maybe I was just like not walking up to all the same people, but then there were moments where I did and it just didn't count, and then it looked like we were double playing the same game at the same time, each mission back to back, and we kind of just stopped.
Yep.
And it was okay because other games were coming out. One of the bigger games that we were anticipating was coming out that we're finishing up now, that we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, I had to go with Destiny too. What about you?
Very fair. Uh, you might be able to help me with this. Do we play Bunny Raiders this year or last year? I think it was
Maybe
this
that
year,
was
right?
last year. I don't know.
Was that last year?
That
So
was
look,
a. Does that
imagine,
count though? That was like a one-time thing for like 20 minutes.
and it was the worst. So look, if
Yeah.
Bunny Raiders was this year, I'm trying to remember. And if it was this year, hands down, Bunny Raiders was the worst game uh, that I played. It was
It
just
was
I hated
funny, but it
the whole
wasn't. I don't know if I would have count that because it seemed more like a demo kind of thing. We didn't really give it a
But
fair
it
shot.
wasn't. It was a full game. He gave it a fair shot. It was just bad. But if that was last year, because I cannot remember. If not, my backup answer, funny enough, was also Destiny 2. Not to like heavily bash on this game. I think what it was is I felt like I can understand when the like a live service game first released, and a lot of it is kind of doing the same mission
Yeah.
like over and over because you're waiting for the next season to come out. So I feel like there should be enough there that you feel like there's the story that we're playing through, right? There's
Hmm.
enough there to get through, and then as you're like trying to loop for better gear, you're redoing the same little mission over and over, but you still got the story to go through. And I think where this one I didn't like was we weren't trying to get the best gear. We were just trying to go through the story. And we got halted in the story to be forced to do the replay mission. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like. And I think I compare it to one of the longer running live service games, DC Universe Online, where they have a story up to like level 30 that you just play through. You play through the story. They have different raids and things that you can keep reading over and over, but you mainly just play through the story, and then you can do the raids to get gear. And then as you wait for new episodes, you kind of get the base gear that you need to get through the episode. And then to get better gear, you could do that to replay parts of the episode. But I don't need to do the replay stuff in order to get the story. Where this game you did. Where I think it was kind of revisiting the same set piece. And yeah, we had that issue where things would count for like one of us and not the other, so then we had to do the mission twice. But even past that, it was like, I think we got to a point where it's, the big bad disappeared, and the bug dude's giving us missions, and the whole mission was to do like 30 bounties. But like you get like 5 bounties a day, and the bounties were also, one of them was like, you had to pretty much do something every single day. It was like trying to force, and if we're only playing a week,
yeah, if I remember, there were time limits. Yeah, I think you had 6 days on some of the time limits, which would have made it like impossible for our schedules and stuff. Yep. So
it was 6 days on the time limit, but only loaded in like 1 time a day or something like that, twice a day. So yeah, it just didn't work. So it was like, we can't play the story because we're locked behind. Like, in order to advance to the next part of the story, you have to do the bounty missions, no other options. And it was just like, well, I don't want to do that. Like, I really don't want to do that. So then it just kind of ends. And that just kind of sucks. So if Buddy Raiders don't count, I'm going to have to...
Yeah, I don't know if we can count Buddy Raiders because it wasn't really... I don't think we was going to play that to the end anyway. But Destiny was considered like a game we were probably going to play for multiple weeks until the end of it, like some of the other games. And it was a game where I think it might quite literally be the first game that was going to be the big game that we just straight dropped altogether. Because I don't think we've ever really dropped any other first-person shooter. We hustled it out. Like Borderlands 2 on the screen, I think Borderlands 1 was one of them where we hustled it out, and then all of a sudden it just got easier. Where at the beginning it was just stuck at being hard, and they never ever went back into it and fixed it. It just left it that way. Where Destiny, it wasn't that it was hard, it was just repetitive, and there was just stuff that, like, it was just like you just didn't want to do anymore. You didn't want to. It still had a fan base there, or a player base that was in there with us, but in real time, overall, the players were leaving this game at a rapid pace, which does lead into the next topic where it's already been reported, and we've already talked about how they have basically lost a huge chunk of their player base to the point where that live service model or whatever it was going for just wasn't enough to sustain Bungie. And now PlayStation somehow is taking over Bungie the way they were supposed to, because we were all looking at that deal a little sideways where it was like $2 or $3 billion, and then they free to just still do whatever they want, which didn't make a lot of sense. Well, now, PlayStation is coming in to help them out and take over, but it almost seems like it's a little too late, and PlayStation has so much other problems coming up. And I guess so that's the topic that we'll lead into, because it's a list of different things happening with PlayStation. But the question I want to ask is basically, have we had any good news coming from PlayStation in a while? You know how I always kept saying, like, it seems to be back-to-back bad news? Yeah. The thing that's really just coming up now, it's like, now I'm just trying to see, like, well, what's the good news? What do we consider good news coming from them? I just don't know. What would you say? What's the good news coming from
Uh,
PlayStation the past couple years? I guess.
past couple years.
I mean, it
uh,
seemed like it just was back to back for a really long time.
yeah, I
2022,
mean,
2023, going into 2024.
so I can't think of any like major breaking. This is wonderful news stuff. It do seem like the bad stuff tends to take like higher like priority, but yeah. So I can't really think of what's the last like great news we had coming from PlayStation. Uh,
I mean, depending on how you look at it, I mean, this God of War Valhalla DLC seems to be a
yeah,
very good success.
yeah.
A lot of people are enjoying it. I have God of War still installed. I did claim the Valhalla, and I'm probably going to. I'm not gonna get a chance to take a crack at it until Christmas, maybe, to be honest.
Okay.
But I am gonna do it. I actually still have in the game a couple berserker fights to finish first, but I'm gonna try to do that and see how that is. But I would consider that probably good news, but I don't know if it's outweighing the bad news. Um, but yeah,
uh,
they're just having this bad news. Maybe
yeah. I think
information. Yeah, go ahead.
where I can't think of any good news is because I'm still mad at them for the increase of price for like the PlayStation Plus, and then not giving anything better in quality, like for it. So that's been very annoying. Where is I don't know, it's just weird like that the premium and extra games that are coming out for this month are fine. They're better than what's been coming out the previous months, but I still don't think it's like worth all of the paying like for it. So because that's hovering over me, even with any sort of like maybe positive news that will come out, it's like, but y'all still increase money for no reason. Like you still increase costs for no reason. Uh, and things like so. We just gotta wait for something I don't know bad to come out, but it does look bad with like studios constantly doing bad and things like that.
I'm gonna throw this in here because it's not really. I don't feel like this is big enough to have its own topic, but I'm gonna throw this in here with this topic because I'm going to lead into Last of Us, not necessarily part two, but the factions two. But I just wanted to say right before it, funny enough, right before it, the day before game, I guess the studio itself,
Was it? Uh, that's weird. They're not necessarily tied to PlayStation, but
they're not. I'm just saying, the connection I'm bringing into it is because I don't view this game as being big as what some people were saying. Like, yes, the trailer
oh,
was hot, and I know it had a whole lot of people wish
we
listed at
tore it
one point.
apart. But like we tore it apart because we were like, "Where's the zombies?" They just ran past it. But past us, there was a lot of people. Well, originally looking forward to this game.
Yeah,
Because they were like, it's the Division and Last of Us fused together. So this had a big market. But then a lot of people after a while started going, yo, is this fake? Like, and they started thinking it was
yeah,
fake and everything. So it was really a lot of people trying to see when this comes out, is it a scam or not?
yeah.
I don't know if we can really answer that question still. Because
But I
I saw
think,
the gameplay. The gameplay's bad.
yeah, I think like 2 days after its official release, a day or two after, they were announcing that they were going to shut down the studio. I don't know if they're backtracking on it. I've seen some later reports as of today where that might not be 100% true, but it looked like they were trying to at least.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were already, trying to like refund the game, that kind of thing. They were
They
upset
did
about
say
it.
that even if you like are past the like normal Steam refund point, you could still get your money back.
Yeah, the only reason I
Some
said I
people
wanted to tie it in was because it was a Last of Us factions clone, basically, or just like it was another one of those clones, just like that Nintendo one, which was hilarious. That they got rid of, and I'm like, well, this one was kind of similar, like what they were trying to do. I am a fan of Last of Us as far as the gameplay a little bit. But I honestly don't think Last of Us is at that level overall where everybody needs to clone it anyway. And then now we're getting the reports that the actual game, the factions game, is actually being canceled. That's the big thing that I was gonna
Yes.
get at.
Now,
The
I like their reasoning, kind of, personally. I like their reasoning behind it.
yeah,
but
we can get to it because I think that they were pandering when they said that. But go ahead, go ahead.
So the reasoning why they said is they had to choose between pretty much live service or prioritizing single player. And they were like, if we release this game, basically it's like, if we release this, we're going to have to support it for years. We can't just release it and be done. And we don't want to have to support it for years, so we're just not going to do it.
Yeah,
That was how they put it.
I think they were trying to use that as a shield a little bit. The whole because they were claiming that they wanted to focus more on the single player narrative driven game, and I kind of feel like they were trying to keep the heat off of them because what ended up happening was like I caught this within like 30 minutes of them announcing it, and they announced it Naughty Dog, that is, on their social media on Twitter or X. And I think within that hour they had to turn off their replies or limit their replies because they were just getting bashed like constantly. They were just getting destroyed over this. I just think it's a little interesting because I don't understand why they would have had to make that live service anyway. They have a whole other Last of Us factions game, whereas it's just a multiplayer. That's all they really needed it to be. They didn't have to make it live service. It could have literally just been a multiplayer.
I don't know why they're not doing like a multiplayer campaign, but like it feels like the word of multiplayer almost for some reason has been going from this live service game recently. So I don't know. It feels like I feel like honestly, in the office is like we're gonna release this because I always looked at somebody who's like we're gonna release this game, and somebody's like, all right, what about season 2? They're like, what's gonna be the new thing? Why do people keep playing this? And they're like, huh? Right? And like they don't have an idea, so now they're realizing let's shut it down before the game. Because like honestly, as a live service, I don't think it was gonna be good. It would have been cool to have like you know a multiplayer story-driven component in The Last of Us, but they were definitely going live service route, and I think that was. I mean, I gotta.
Yeah, I think
have a live service game.
It's sort of a waste too. I think they have been working on this for like 3 years, which I don't know because at the same time this is still Naughty Dog, which at some point people considered it their top studio. I think in the last couple years though, people might put Insomniac over them now, but it's just kind of like one of those things where it's just like, how does this happen to a top studio? What are we doing over there?
That's the issue. It's there. Once you hit top studio, it seems like you're no longer like making games. It almost seems like you're making games to please investors. So of course, again, investors are like, dude, people like multiplayer live service games. People like Last of Us. Do that and like just try and force that out. To even the point, for example, the dudes that are making Blade, the arcade. In my head, I'm like, this is the game they wanted to make when they were told they get to do Vampire, not Redfall. Things like so. It's just I feel like there's pressure from people who I wish would like butt out of games. That's what I honestly think it is.
Yeah, I don't know about the pressure thing for Naughty Dog though. I think Naughty Dog, because they've already had it. I don't know. They had the game that they already needed, which was Last of Us 2. You just needed to make a multiplayer map for it. Like, not to take it away from like how hard it might have been to do that, but it was just like, well, 3 years later, and you still put some resources towards making some form of a like PS5 version of The Last of Us 2. You know, at the same time when it's just like you could have just focused on your new I don't know if you can call this new. Yeah, your new not IP, but new game, I guess, because they said this was supposed to be like it had its own single player element to it as well, or some story or something when they were at that award show. It was a Jeff Keighley show if I remember correctly, because he was showing off the Last of Us TV show at one point, and then they brought Neil Druckmann on stage, and then it was like, here's the concept art, and then they mentioned it was going to have a single player story. It was going to have all new characters that don't have nothing to do with like Abby and Joel and Ellie and stuff. It was just,
yeah, but everything they said sounded live servicey. Like when I was hearing it, single player story sounded like tutorial to me. Like it just honestly just all felt like a live service thing, and I do feel like there's pressure because like when we say it's like, you know, these big studios, it's like ain't nobody pressuring them to do stuff, so that's like
I think you cut out,
like,
but
so basically it's just I do feel like there is still investor pressure that gets in the way of a lot of these bad decisions, but like overall it's just I didn't think this game was going to be good from what it seemed like it was shaping up to.
Yeah, but if you cancel it, the investors don't get nothing.
True.
So I mean, like why cancel the project? If anything, just take what is Suicide Squad's doing with, because they did something. What did they do over there? Where they said something about how you don't need, they have an offline story or something like that. I don't know. Like
they will have an offline story post launch.
However that was, like, I just don't get, because well, what, I guess they're not top studio to me anymore. I had to take them off of it anyway for a while, but it's just kind of crazy to me because that's not the only bad news that they have apparently, but it's just that was probably one of the biggest ones because I honestly feel like Sony is in a huge crisis that people are kind of like playing off because where was the good news? It keeps getting worse. Like I feel like next month or so it's gonna get even worse. We're gonna hear something even worse. But yeah, it's gone. It sucks that it's gone. I wasn't looking forward to it too much, but I wanted to see what they were gonna do with this franchise. I honestly think this franchise after what is it, the HBO show could probably just take a pause for a second. Even though I was one of those people just wanting to see how could they quote unquote fix their story with The Last of Us Part 3, because if we keep it real, that story wasn't really that hot for the Part 2 at least. It's like you would like let it go after a while because I do think the gameplay is very good. But yeah, maybe they just need to like I don't know, just go on a hiatus overall. It sounds like they are, because they at first they announced this is going to go on hiatus. I do think at first it was because of the live service thing in general, which before I had the tinfoil hat on because I blamed it on the superhero games, because I think they looked at the superhero games and say, okay, wait a minute, because the people was not really behind it as much, and understandably so, because I think in general a lot of people don't really want to see this kind of thing no more with a lot of games.
I agree.
But I just don't think it should have been canceled outright. Even Suicide Squad didn't cancel it outright. They had their hiatus, but then they stuck their ugly nose back out this past month, and they're coming out with their game. And I think what anybody else who has something that they already started, I think it's kind of dumb to just erase it. Like, you don't get anything at that point. You don't make the money's just lost. That's just it. You've lost it all.
Well, I don't think they're just gonna be like into the trash and then done. They're probably gonna repurpose some of this for Last of Us.
You cutting out again, but that's okay. I mean,
wouldn't be surprised if Last of Us has a multiplayer element that's like they're using the multiplayer stuff from that and then with their single player story, right? Because again, I feel like if they really want to make The Last of Us 3, you can't do that with a live service game hanging.
I
Right?
don't know.
So
Somebody should have never.
everyone's gonna tell you to focus on the live service game instead of like the people who are playing the live service game is gonna be like, well, like because you're giving content to the single player thing, but you're not giving any content to us. Like we deserve it. Blah 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 blah. So I feel like they can repurpose what they were trying to do with factions into just making The Last of Us 3. I don't think they're just gonna delete it.
Well, if this doesn't get rid of their pressure, that makes it even worse actually. Because now it's like, well, that game has to part 3 has to be good. It can't be broken. It can't be pushed back. Whenever you decide to come out with it, it has to be good. Especially from Naughty Dog in itself. It's very disappointing just in general. I was disappointed in general because it's just so much crap going on with them, with all of the executives and stuff. There's another story here, which is it's kind of just as worse, but I don't think it's going to be talked about as much. But basically, Insomniac was hacked again, or just they were hacked again as overall. But the target was Insomniac, and the target was Wolverine, basically. And it's no spoilers here because I'm not looking at it. I actually didn't look at any of it, but apparently early assets of the game was put out on the internet. You can literally go look and see what the character model looks like, what he wears. They're apparently having some sort of ransom or something where they're asking for like 2 million, and I think they gave him like 7 days or something, which by the time this goes out that might be over, so we might actually see the full leak. But they were trying to put it out there and spoil the game, spoil the bosses, spoil the way it looks and all this stuff. I don't even think this doesn't even have a release date. But yeah, that's actually happening. In my head I'm just like, man, how did you guys get hacked the second time that fast?
I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't pay, and I'll just continue working on the game, right?
Yeah.
Because the people who are going to want the spoilers and spread the spoilers and things like that, they're going to do so. And anyone who wants to play the game, they're still going to do so. So rather than trying to pay this ransom, it's like, please don't spoil, like, our game. It's not like they're going to, like, unless the information they're revealing is like, haha, it's fake or something like that, I would be like, look, if you don't want spoilers, don't look them up. Like, I'm going to continue working on the game, though. So when it comes out, it's going to be nice, it's going to be polished, it's going to be fixed, and you're going to enjoy it. I'm sorry if it got ruined for you. But honestly, I don't feel like someone's going, well, I'm not going to play it now. I already know how it ends. Like, don't look it up.
Yeah, I'm still going to play it. I didn't look up anything. I didn't feel the need to. I think it's something like that. I don't blame on them too much. It's just a little unfortunate. Because that's quite literally their next biggest draw. Honestly, I don't even know what else they have right now, honestly, outside of the second party stuff. But like, that's their biggest draw. I think is supposed to be coming out probably next year or 2025, somewhere in there. So this a little unfortunate. I don't really feel like this is the good news, but apparently, we got, news or some other leaks in a way of the PS5 Pro, which I honestly think this one was fake because it was very vague on these specs, but there should be a PS5 Pro at some point. I think everybody knows it was probably going to be one. It's like it's a mid-gen refresh. It's a little weird that we're close to the mid-gen anyway, and basically, like, there are systems and stuff that are out there where you can get their new slimmer model, as well as they're finally putting the regular model on the shelf, the bigger model, the launch model, and now we're going to be talking about releasing the Pro model. I think the Pros for both sides. Honestly, shouldn't come out until like 2026 or 2027, because you're just now
I
putting
agree.
the regular ones on the shelf. But
Exact reason
um,
why I agree.
it's possible this thing could be upwards of $600 to $700 according to some of the stuff as well. And then it's supposed to have like really big PC specs, and that's where I think that they're lying a little bit. 2 terabytes of storage space, which I also think they lying on that as well, because I've never known them to ever do that. But yeah, that's happening, and I guess we'll just have to see. I don't think people needs to get their hopes up on it, but maybe this might be considered the good news. I think the pricing that people was reporting might make it seem like the bad news, but I honestly think that PlayStation this year has done way too much on the hardware side and not enough on the software side. Um, but it's not like this PS5 Pro is coming out this year. Anyway, the year's over at this point. It's over. We're going into 2024, but hopefully in 2024 we see more focus on it. It doesn't have to be single player, but just your titles, like new titles. Let's focus on some new titles. Because I'm honestly a little burnt out on all the sequels. It was a lot of sequels. To me, it just felt like it was the continuation of the last 3-4 years of the PS4, and there were some great titles there, but now you've really ran a lot of them dry. Like quite literally, the God of War one is hype. There's some hype one over that, but I honestly think a lot of the hype is because it was free. Because the Last of Us one looks just as good, but there's no hype over it because you gotta buy it. That's the thing. It looks good, but you gotta buy it.
I'm happy it's free.
Yeah. But I just would like to see a new IP from them, something that's theirs, not coming from an outside studio, at least. Because Square Enix don't hit as good as they could, for me. But
But also back to the God of War one though.
yeah,
Played it yet, but a lot of like hype that I've heard around it says that it feels like older God of War again.
he does have the blade of in I've seen him with the blade of chaos. You can get or is it chaos? No, the blade of Olympus. What did I say?
Okay.
The blade of chaos. The blade of Olympus makes a return. I guess that's a light spoiler.
Yeah,
but
thanks. But
that's
what
there.
I was saying is that people were just saying it felt like old God of War again, so I think hearing that would have also just been hype enough as well for it. But you know, I have overall enjoyed the year of gaming, even though there has been a lot of sequels, stuff like that. But I've enjoyed what came out.
I think the game of the year categories, the entire categories was sequels and remakes, wasn't it? Was there anything new there? I don't think there was anything new there.
Baldur's Gate 3.
The whole thing was
Alan Wake
sequels.
2, Spider-Man 2, Legend of Zelda 2. What else was on there?
Resident Evil 4.
Oh, Resident Evil 4.
The
Yeah,
remake.
everything was sequels.
The whole thing was sequels. I mean, it is what it is. I think that's what gets a lot of people hype, is the name value. But shout out to the indie developers. A lot of stuff is there. A lot of stuff is, if you really, really want something new, it's definitely there. Unfortunately, it's not really. It's almost like it's one ear and out the other for a lot of people though. But there's a lot of good things there.
Like Sea of Stars. Also, I do gotta correct something from myself earlier, where I re-looked at the list of games that I played this year, and I have to edit which one was the worst one, because it was a game that I booted out of memory. So, as much as I talked about Destiny, Ark Survival Evolved is hands down the worst thing I played. That was worse than Bunny Raid.
Is that the one with? Oh, that's not the one with Diesel, is it? Or Vin Diesel?
He's in the sequel.
Yeah, he's in the sequel. Okay.
But this first one, oh, it was bad. So basically, You log in, it throws you into a server, and with zero explanation, you're just kind of there. And I'm like on a beach, like there's like no explanation of any sort of controls or nothing like that. And I'm just there. And then I walk forward, and then some like crab just runs up and starts pinching my leg, and then so then it reloads me into the game immediately. Like I'm walking through the woods trying to scavenge, but I don't really know what I'm trying to do. And
Okay.
I'm just kind of walking around until some scorpion thing just like chases me back down to the beach and it kills me. Then when it respawns me again, it spawns me directly in front of the scorpion and it just kills me immediately again. Then it respawned again, surviving through the woods, and then at some point somehow broke my ankle while walking, and then it's just my health is going down. I have no idea. Uh, then I get cold and I die. And then at one point I find somebody else's fort that they were doing, but I have zero idea of the controls, and I'm walking around until something else attacks me and I die. That was my experience with that game. It says I'm done with this. Like it was absolute horror. It was horrible. That was the worst game. I've completely forgot I played that this year because I played it for about like 2 hours and then just.
Uh, all right. I still say it's Destiny for me just because it was like it tried to make you play it twice, and it's like it tried to make you play each piece twice if you was playing in co-op, and that was like probably one of the things where I don't think I've ever had to experience that, and it wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't for like them making you redo some of the same stuff over and over again, but you didn't like it the first time. Like that's probably what did it for me. But I think overall, like my gaming year was still fine. It wasn't terrible or anything like that. But I will say a lot of what I was playing didn't really come out this year. It was a lot of backlog stuff. And then some emulation stuff that I'm probably get to in a little bit. But I want to get to the middle of the road stuff in a second. I just wanted to mention a couple more things before we get to that. We could probably stop with PlayStation. Just do better. Is all I want to say with them. Just simply do better. I don't know who else they need to fire. I think they fired enough people. But whatever they got left, scramble it around. Like take a big spoon, put everybody in a bowl, put them in a spoon. I don't know what I'm saying. Shake it up, I guess. What do they do in wrestling? Don't they call it? What do they call it? Superstar shake? Do something like that. Shake it up. Put some of the, put other people in charge and mix it all over the place. And then let's see what happens with that. But yeah, I guess this could probably be fast because it was like the only thing I have for Xbox. But I guess so. Xbox. They hired a top executive that was a part of Japan Studios that was originally fired from PlayStation, I guess. Or just when PlayStation dropped Japan Studios, which was, I want to say, in 2021 or 2020. It was somewhere in that time frame. They were dropped. And so you fast forward to now, I guess this lady named, well, I apologize. I don't want to say it like that. I don't remember. I don't know how to say it too well, but I'm going to try to say it. So it's Mena and then I think Kato, Mena Kato. She is someone that they've picked up. She was the top executive there. And now she is actively trying to get more and more Japan studio type developers and IPs and everything, you know, to work with Xbox. We're going to see some more of that in the future. I guess they brought her in for that. I guess over there she's a high ranking name for these guys, and she's going to do some good recruiting, I guess, in the future for them. So that's kind of exciting. We'll see what happens with that. That probably is going to take a long time before you start seeing some real IPs come out of it, but at least they're getting the ball rolling on that on top of all the other stuff they got going on. And then The next thing I could mention that's probably can go along with the middle of the road stuff, all the other games, Epic Game stuff, but there's a rumor that is probably true that Resident Evil 4 Remake is going to have a gold edition with the rumored release date of February 9th, this upcoming February 9th, and apparently it's supposed to include all the DLC. So that was the Ada Wong stuff, some of the attire type stuff, some of those extra stuff like they give you guns and stuff and all of that in the DLCs. So all of that's supposed to be in the gold edition and then reprinted probably on disc at that point. I do know, like with, I think Resident Evil Village, they did a gold edition. They did a gold edition with Resident Evil 7. So this isn't really new. So if you're somebody out there who probably hasn't really gotten into this Resident Evil game and you still want to buy it, you might want to hold off for the gold edition. And unfortunately, maybe going forward, you might want to hold off buying a Resident Evil game until the gold edition comes out, because it seems that the gold editions have all the DLC, and that's the official like complete edition for them, maybe. But yeah, so that's gonna be this upcoming February 9th, unofficial, but I think we're gonna probably hear some news up like soon, because they've had a whole bunch of gold editions already. Resident Evil is hot. I'm a huge fan. But I can get into the middle of the road stuff. We can burn through this real quick, which I think is actually a little exciting this time around, because the unofficial sponsor that I always talk about is Epic Games. And if you heard me talk about this in the past, I always say you don't need to have any type of payment or credit card information for having your profile. You just need to create a profile under Epic Games, and you can sign into it under any one of your devices, whether it's a regular PC, laptop, or one of the handhelds. This time around, they're starting to do their mystery games thing, and I heard that the first mystery game that's coming out on the 20th is the start of, I believe, 17 games, apparently, which is something they've done in the past already. It was like their like holiday list of games, and so you would have to like literally pay attention to them every day starting at 11 a.m. I believe Eastern Standard Time every day to get the new release. They have not mentioned what the new one is going to be until the 20th, but the one that is out right now is ironically the Destiny 2 Legacy Collection, which I believe is still the same Destiny 2 with a little bit more DLCs. So I actually did claim that. So that's available from now until December 20th. But then going forward, the mystery game will be released on December 20th at 11 a.m. We don't know what that is yet, but just remember, you got to return pretty much every day, I believe going into New Year's, to get all of their different games. And it's going to be like 17 of them. I think a couple of them will be released in the same day. And I'm pretty sure they usually do at least one big AAA release, sometimes two. So definitely look out for that. And we'll try to like make sure I have all the lists down just to list them off later. Also, with Epic Games, they have their, I guess, Christmas kind of sale that they're doing, which includes a coupon. Like if you've made your profile already, if you go into your settings, you might actually see this. I actually used mine. I'm about to tell you what I used it on, but they have the coupon where they're giving you 33% off of like one game, or actually one purchase that you make with that coupon. And I've already used it. So funny enough, I've criticized this game a couple times in the past like 3 or 4 weeks, but I'm still a fan of the franchise in general. So I actually used that on Alan Wake 2, believe it or not. I know that's a shocker to somebody, but That might have been like one of the last couple games that was in the game of the year list that I didn't get. What you say? You say something?
I thought you had already owned it.
No, I didn't own it yet. I owned like most of the other ones in the game of the year list, but I didn't own this one yet. But basically, the game, I think it normally retails at 50. They had it on sale with their like holiday sale thing at $39.99. But with this 33% off coupon, it brought it down to like 26. And then I guess tax brought it back up to like 28. And then they also have a 10% off like coupon or something, or not coupon, but rewards. Like you get 10% back basically after you make your purchase that goes towards your next purchase. So they gave me about like $2 and like 68 cents back apparently once I bought this. And then not only that, with this Alan Wake 2 game, they're also throwing in Alan Wake Remastered for free. I've already played Alan Wake. It wasn't necessarily that big of a deal for me to have the remastered version. I think also I had the remastered version through PS Plus. I'm not sure if it's on Game Pass, but I know the old one was for a long time. But I played the old one on 360 technically through this, or I played the 360 version through the Series X. And then American Nightmare. It's funny because the American Nightmare game is like almost completely ignored. Like you would think that they would like had that like with the Alan Wake Remastered. It would have been pretty cool to just add it on there, but it was just left in the dark. True Alan Wake fans, you already know the deal. You probably played it, but so yeah, I got that game for the cheap. And I got like $2.68 back. There's one more thing I want you guys to know about Epic Games. There's one game under there that I mentioned a lot on the channel. Well, I mentioned in like one of those indie videos that I've done, and it's called the Mage Seeker, a League of Legends story. The Mage Seeker, a League of Legends story. I'll say that like 10 times fast, right? That normally was $30. It's on sale right now for the holiday season under Epic for $17.99. I started to use that 33% on that, but then I just wanted to see like, well, how much would it have cost for Alan Wake? And then I saw they had like all this other stuff going on with Alan Wake, so I used it on that. But I'm probably going to end up getting this before the end of the year. This was the game that looked more like Eldest Souls, another game that I'm technically still playing, but basically a top-down indie style game where you play the character who plays almost like identical to the old God of War, but it's just from that top-down perspective, like 2.5D top-down. You know how like them indie games look. And
I just keep saying indie game because League of Legends by Riot Games is not.
yeah, I don't know if this is 100. I think it's more like a spin-off. I don't think it's like, I don't know if it's theirs. It might be. But it seemed like it was his own thing.
Mage Seeker, right?
Say it again?
The Mage Seeker?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it was developed by a third party studio, but still published by them.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's $17.99 right now. I think a lot of people should try it out. I'm gonna grab it probably right before Christmas and use that other $2 rewards that I got and bring it down to like maybe 15. I'm gonna grab that. I'm really big in the indie games going forward. I think the talent really is there. And yes, I did just call it an indie game again. But basically, like the games that are not
A lot of people.
the ones that's not AAA games that a lot of people just forget about or don't talk about. That's basically what I mean.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, Epic Games is giving out that 17 games. They got that coupon, and there's a lot of stuff you can do over there. If you're going over there for the first time, you can really jumpstart a library over there in a matter of 2 weeks. So definitely check them out. I guess we can move forward. That's crazy.
So
Majority.
we mentioned it was bad, but we didn't really say what. the day before. Did you see any of the gameplay for it?
I have, yeah.
So yeah, basically like the summary version when they were inside the like home base, some people like other players would just grow extra large and take up half of the screen. Uh, the shooting was very bad and delayed, and for me, from looking at it, I'm gonna be honest, this is gonna upset some people. It looked like Mass Effect 1 shooting, which I hated.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not where it's like it doesn't feel responsive. It just feels like you're a kid going pew pew like at each other, and like nobody's really reacting until eventually somebody just goes and then falls. Like that's what this felt like when they were shooting. It was just pew pews, and like the thing would just keep moving, and then at one point fall. No zombie hit. Like the gameplay that I watched, the zombie would run up and it just stop, like right in front of him, and then would eventually swing and just miss. So that was bad. There wasn't that much loot, it seemed, for the looter shooter. At one point, somebody ran into this building, and an alarm was going off. And then when they ran down the block, the alarm was still just as loud. Like on the screen, it just wasn't going away. So that part was bad. Like there was a lot of the game that just is underbaked. And also, it's supposed to be mass multiplayer, and like the game that I watched, out of like an hour and a half of playing, he the first one sniped him, and then the second one he was done playing. So when he ran into the, dropped all his loot, like here it's yours, and like quit.
Yeah, I think with this particular game, it echoes another thing I think we mentioned before. Maybe the people really, maybe this generation, the people should not pre-order anything. I think everything should just be a wait and see approach. Give it 2 weeks. The price typically doesn't drop in 2 weeks. I don't think you're gonna miss anything in 2 weeks. They do these games sometimes where it's like you get a pre-order bonus, but a lot of pre-order bonuses is weak nowadays. It's not like you're getting extra content. You'll get like a gun or a skin or something. So I think a lot of people could probably avoid some of the controversy that was surrounding this game if you just wait. I think this generation is a wait and see generation at this point. Because that game's not really the first game that we've seen with the, some of the stuff that's going on where everybody's saying it's a scam and XYZ. We've seen that a couple times before. It's a little bit more elevated because of the content creators, I think, in a way. But I don't look at it any different than like, I don't know. It wasn't as bad as Cyberpunk. But I think Cyberpunk kind of coined it a little bit, where it's just like it really was a wait and see. I don't think this game was like broken, but yeah, go ahead.
I would put it on the same level as Cyberpunk. I think the difference though is where Cyberpunk had bugs, this game had lack of content. I think that's this like slight difference. Like there were still bugs in both, but like Cyberpunk was like a decent story with just so overwhelming of bugs that you couldn't get through it. Where for this one, it was like,
I think you cut out again. Well, let me just say, Cyberpunk was a situation where I think a bulk of their players was on PS4 and Xbox One, and those versions were just not 100%, but probably 95% just unplayable, period. Where I guess if you had the PS5 at the time or the Series X, like the systems were like brand spanking new, right? The systems came out literally 1 month before, and only a handful of people could have got them. Those are the ones where they were at least able to brute force through the game and get like some crashes here and there or whatever, but it was at least a little bit more playable. But like 90% of the fail race was all over the last gen console. That was probably that situation. But yeah, moving right along though, I guess. There was one thing I think I forgot to mention that I think might be important to the people, and then we can move on to your other topic. So we know that starting in 2024, there's supposed to be like physical media going away. I think I said this about a couple weeks ago that even though physical media is getting ready to go away, I think people should pay attention to what's not going to be announced across like the internet and stuff, and that's like individual stores are going to have like a little bit of their liquidation of this stuff, and they're not going to really tell you anything because it's going to be on a store by store basis, and you just got to go in there. So today actually I decided to go peek. Well, I had some other business to do inside of a Walmart, but I went in there and I saw they took a whole bunch of games that were not really that old, and threw them in that $5 bin. But it wasn't really five. It was like a lot of them was like $15 and $20, but it was like some new stuff. And this was Walmart that I'm talking about. I went to one of them that was close to me. I actually went to two of them because I went to see at a different one just because. But basically I was able to get Dying Light 2 today. And I believe it was $14.99. I got the PS4 version that was $14.99. I believe the PS5 version was $22. But I Googled it real quick. The PS5 version is a free upgrade if you have the PS4. You just pop the, you already know this deal. Y'all pop the disc in and then go get the free upgrade basically. So I saved myself like $7 and got that game for about $15. It has a reverse cover and some cool stuff inside of it, like these little poster art cards or whatever. So it's still kind of cool for a physical collector, but that game, and there's a few other ones in there that I saw that I could remember. Forspoken, I know a lot of people probably ain't gonna want to get that. That was in there. One of the Call of Duties, I think Call of Duty Vanguard was in there. Some Ubisoft games was in there. It was a couple of them that I hadn't recognized. Like there's a game where Ubisoft made where on the cover it had like a battleship. I don't know which one it was, but they had a bunch of them in this bin and they were all very, very cheap. They did not have them over there like behind the glass. And so check out your stores. Check out those little areas. It's not going to be just the DVDs. I think they're going to liquidate a lot of that stuff. Going forward, it's probably going to be a little sad because I don't think next year we're going to see the Black Friday deals anywhere near what we've seen in the past 4 or 5 years. But you can still get some stuff right now for a lot cheaper than what you would normally get, and it'll still be brand new and everything. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I don't think it's just going to be Walmart, because I think before when they were talking about that, they mentioned Target and they mentioned Best Buy as well. I don't know who else, but I predicted that this was probably going to happen. I also predicted that most likely, or I'm predicting that Amazon is going to turn heel once they become that monopoly. So I don't expect to see any more nice physical game sales coming from Amazon starting next year, because that's going to be where a lot of people is going to be able to get stuff. And I expect games to not drop lower than $30 on average unless it's Black Friday. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, we're moving kind of fast and I'm glad about that too. The last topic I have was your question. Did you have anything else that you wanted to mention before we get to this other question, the top 3 games?
Yeah, Twitch.
Okay.
So, there was a Twitch stream, Papa's girl, and she said it was art. So Twitch was like, they're gonna rewrite the rules and said artistic nudity is fine. And then after one day, was like, our bad is not fine. We're back, no nudity at all. So, Twitch can't make up his mind on what it's doing, and like always, so just Twitch being Twitch.
I don't know if it's the same girl. All I know is like I frequently go on there sometimes when I'm at work. Really, well, not well. I understand. Like, Twitch is more of a not safe for work kind of thing now, but like basically, I try to watch people play games. Right? I've tried to watch people play games, and I've tried to only follow the people that I've had from that I've subscribed to on YouTube, basically. And Twitch has always tried to send me the other content type people. I'm not gonna say what I want to say, but they've been doing that for a really long time, and I was kind of annoyed. But there was this one girl that I don't even know her name really. All I know is she had been like topless the whole time, and she'll have like the pasties on and like paint on herself a little bit, and it'll always be in the like suggested. And like every time this girl is on, and I would always honestly think she was one of the ugliest girls on there, and they'd really be annoyed that they will always put that there, because I used to always just want to see the people that I was subscribed to. But I remember like there were other people who would say if they showed under boob or something, that was considered TOS or terms of service like violation. But then in my head I'm like, but this girl will always be here with her whole chest out, and I don't really know the full details of what they're doing with their whatever they call it, their rules. But I just think it would be the most easiest thing to just call it Twitch After Dark, because I think a lot of people will call, like, when they look at or when they talk about, like, I guess adult content in a way, or more suggestive content, stuff that's not PG-13, they always call it like After Dark. I've heard people used to call it Twitter After Dark, Facebook After Dark, a few other ones, but they never actually, like, the companies never actually made it into a site. I think with Twitch, they're not going to do it because they want that type of audience, the younger audience, to pay attention to that because they make money off of it. But
yeah,
for me, I rather they have Twitch and then Twitch After Dark, and anybody, because they have the analytics and stuff, anybody whose content is always teetering that line, or they've done way too much content over the past how many streams where it's kind of going into that Twitch After Dark category, you just move them onto that site and you just cut it down the middle. Cause sometimes like I'm not no 15, 16-year-old, right? Like if I wanted to see it, or if I wanted to whatever, I can just go get it, basically.
right, right. I don't need it implied.
Yeah, it seems like a waste of, yeah.
Show me video games. I wanted to look at, like, I'm trying to see gameplay about something, or I want to see somebody move.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. It's silly for somebody like me, basically. It's content for kids, basically, and it's kind of eerie and weird and kind of sick when you say it out loud. But it really is for the younger crowd, unfortunately. But if Twitch really wanted to, like, stand up for moral sake, I guess they could just split it right down the middle. They don't have to do what OF did and try to act like they wanted to get rid of it until they realized that was going to bankrupt them, and then they just bring it back. It's like, no, you can literally, like, carve it into two different sites where you will have to type in twitchafterdark.com, and then you'll start seeing all the same stuff, because the hot tub stuff was getting ridiculous at some point. It was just like, okay, like like somebody would just sit there, they're not even, like, there are certain ones where they're just not even playing the games at all. Like, I understand that maybe people might say where it's bigger than that type of thing, because I know there are also some channels that like go way left, that's not even in that category. But like, there's a channel that I see every now and then where it's literally a pizza place, and they just got like a recorder in the corner, and they're just making pizza all day. And it's just like like, I just feel like that stuff, like they need to, like, really separate it or something. Like, I don't know, I don't even know what's going on with that.
They can even sharpen it up with, like, categories. Like even if they're not making a separate website,
Yeah, but
it should be
anybody,
more strict on like category. Like you can't label yourself like gaming or Lords of the Fallen if you're cooking pizza, right? Like it should just say cooking,
yeah,
and then all you should be able to filter like what's suggested for you to watch based off of the category. So it doesn't even have to be his own website. It could just be like shoved into a specific category. Because I think like it's always weird. Like when I do get this stuff suggested, like the one I'm talking about, it was the video that blew up. So it seems like it was for everybody. But it was weird. It was like this muscular like redhead chick. That was what was suggested, and it was like her being topless and stuff. But it was just like, what have I watched on here to make you think that that's what should be suggested? Like, because I haven't. I have watched people lose at Lord's Lives of P and
yeah.
Elden Ring, and like, what made you think this it? Like, it's not. So
I do like to watch a lot of people play Souls games on there and watch the boss fights. Um, mainly the boss fights of not just Elden Ring, Lies of P, Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, not so much 2, but those, and then I believe Bloodborne. I watch people play the boss fights there. I don't really like to watch people play too many single player games unless it's games that I've played already, because I don't really want to spoil stuff. But when it comes to the boss fights of Souls games, that's what I really do like to watch, because it's really entertaining. But a lot of times, I'm gonna be honest, when I watch the most is when I'm at work, so I have to have it on mute anyway. I can't really keep up with what everybody's saying or what they're doing too much, but I can see a boss fight on mute, and it serves its purpose or whatever.
right.
But like some of the other content, like we already know what's going on when it comes to like a lot of the girls teetering between the lines, where some of them quite literally, because I've seen some of the people taking screenshots on Twitter almost to protest it a little bit, like I guess girls like quite literally just having oil on them, and they're just kind of sitting there almost cosplaying a little bit, but just like they're sitting there, and there's like there was this one girl, I guess the Twitter, not Twitter, a YouTuber named Keemstar who does Drama Alert. I guess he was like, this is Twitch today. I guess he put out like a tweet, and it was a tweet of this one girl. She was sitting there with her boobs out, oiled out, and like it was a game in the corner that it looked like, I think either Super Mario, I think it was Super Mario 64, right? And she actually wasn't playing it. She was just watching a video of somebody else playing the game. And I think the audience was fully aware. They don't care. They're just looking at her boobs. And he was, I guess his comment was just, this is Twitch 2023.
Yep.
And it's kind of a shame, because there has been a lot of times where I quite literally would have just the people that I know have a Twitch that I'm subscribed to on YouTube mixed with some people that I know in real life, but my suggested was just all like them type of content creators. I think I showed you a screenshot of that at one point too, where I was just like, dog, look at this. It's ridiculous. So they're pushing it on their audience. And I think behind the scenes, they're probably fully aware that that's what's moving the needle a little bit. Not too many people is watching a lot of those other guys who are just like the one dude who pretended to be in the jail for like a week. Like he could pull some numbers, but it's like one person. The many content creators, unfortunately, are like the Amaref type girls and stuff. So it is what it is. I wish they split into half. They're probably not. We'll just see what happens as it goes, because at some point somebody bigger will step in the way that they're trying to step in on GTA 6. Like I'm talking like politicians or something, and make it like this is the rule. No matter whose the site is, they might just rule down on it at some point, and that's what it's going to have to come down to. As long as the sites are in control, though, they're going to push that type of content, because the internet is ruled by corn content, unfortunately. But Yeah, I guess if do you have any more you want to say about that?
No, just I always find it funny when companies backpedal. They're like, "This is what we're gonna do," and then like one day later, it's like, "All right, we're not gonna do that. Sorry."
Yeah,
We so yeah, they
I so my understanding though they were trying to loosen up their rules in favor of that content,
yes.
where I
Well,
believe
they said artistic nudity is okay, so then a bunch of streamers just started posting pictures of like naked anime everywhere.
yeah.
It was like it's art and it's nudity and it's fine, and then people started complaining, so that they were like,
I just know I remember when OF was like they wanted to get rid of the hardcore content completely, and
"Yeah,
it set the internet ablaze for a week or something, and then they just bought it back or something. And it was just it was a strange situation, but it kind of died down after that. This is almost in that category because unfortunately I'm starting to bring or put Twitch in that category. Like it used to be a situation where Twitch was more early on. It was considered safe for work, and I remember like I had a job where it basically was considered not safe for work, and all I did was watch Super Mario speed runs when I was in person at a location, and they were just like that website's not safe for work, and I was like really mad because it legit used to help get through the day. I was watching that, and I think some of the older Resident Evils at the time, and I didn't get in trouble. Like I remember the supervisor that I had was just like, "Oh, what is that?" And like she didn't really care. But then at one point they put it on a list, and then basically said we can't watch it. And I was just like, I was so mad. I was really mad. But that was a long time ago. Now the situation is a little bit different. So it is what it is, I guess. Last topic. What's your question, man? What's the last question?
let's end on something of a more positive note." We talked about what was the worst game you played this year. I want to know what was the best game you played this year.
All right, I could probably just go in three categories: retro, current, and then co-op. I think if I wanted to say retro, so retro for me is semi emulation as well. But Soul Silver on the DS, aka my old
Great
cell
choice.
phone. That was one of the games that I consider it beaten. I got through pretty much the whole game, but I lost to Red at the very end.
Yeah.
I could technically keep going. Like I didn't delete the file. I still have the phone. The phone is no longer my main phone. It's like quite literally I can connect it to the Razer Kishi permanently, and it could be like my other device. But I've already moved forward to Emerald, and then at the same time I bought some of the newer Pokemons. I think one more that I would have to buy is well, I have to buy some more 3DS ones, but also either Scarlet or Violet. I was going to go with Violet. I'm still a little bit more hesitant on it because of the state it was in at the end of 2022. I'm pretty sure now, about a year and a half later, it's probably better. But
It's better. It's fine. It's not. It's still not the best graphically, but for me, it doesn't get in the way.
I'll have to play through a lot of the Pokemons in order to get to it anyway. That's like at the end of the line, and I'm still closer to the beginning. So I got a ways, so I'm not worried too much about it. But that would be the best in retro. Um, I don't consider this beaten yet, although we might actually beat it today. Remnant 2 would be the best in co-op. I thought it's still pretty fun. It was just a continuation. A lot of stuff was familiar. The sound effects was familiar. I actually saw some other bosses. I saw this one girl video where she said her hardest bosses, and I looked at it, and two of them I hadn't seen yet. So I think we might run into them. But I'm excited to beat the main one that we didn't beat yet, which I heard he had 3 phases, not 2. So
Oh dang! God dang!
he has 3 phases. So yeah, I'm excited to play him. I hope we can beat him, and I would consider that the best in the co-op for this year. That one's technically the actual game that came out this year though. like I said before, most of the stuff I've been playing was backlog material. So solo wise, it would have been Resident Evil 2. I'm not finished with it yet. I'm in it, but I'm actually at the end game. But Resident Evil 2, the remake, I should say. I'm actually going through all the Resident Evils. I'm watching Alloy get his butt kicked on TV or on the thing, but yeah, Resident Evil 2 though. Resident Evil 2 remake. People were saying that was one of the best ones. I think Resident Evil 4 obviously is the best one right now, but I look forward to it. If that's better than 2, and I already think 2 is great, I look forward to it. But yeah, that's my picks.
So
what are yours?
I didn't have it broken down to those categories, but I did have 3 games that I want to talk about. So one I mentioned last time, Sea of Stars, right? To me, was one of the best for like the retro style of RPG. I thought that it was just really good. I haven't dived like that far into Baldur's Gate 3 to be able to say it was my favorite game this year, but it's probably going to be what I mentioned next year. But the second game that I want to talk about though was Hogwarts Legacy, like just being into that universe. It was like, as it was described, it's the game that you would have wanted as a Harry Potter fan growing up.
Man,
so
that game don't exist, man. From what I've seen,
apparently it don't exist.
it
and
don't
then
exist.
the third game that I did want to talk about, and give it its props, and I still think people need to try it out if they haven't, and that's Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. So
Okay.
I had finally got that. I know I was one of the people who, like, because they got burned by Marvel's Avengers, I was just like, I ain't getting this one. I ended up getting it finally and like actually playing it, or maybe I got it through PlayStation Plus or something. But I know I played it and beat it. It was fantastic. Like if you're a person who likes story-driven games, the game is wonderful. Really like get attached to these characters, and you feel like you're like really like in it. The game bases a lot of things off of what you would say. It's not the heaviest amount of choices, but they do feel like the story flows off of your choices. So like one of the missions that I had played, I accidentally skipped a whole part because I just walked straight past it and didn't even realize. So I like went back and replayed that part and got to see how it actually was play out. But the story just continued without that part as well. So there is some replayability with some stuff. There's this one real fun mission with this alpaca that you have where you lose this mission, or this mission happening depends on something you do in chapter like 2. Determines like this mission for like chapter like 12 or 13. And if you had made the other decision, then you wouldn't have this mission at hand. So it was like it would have been a more action mission versus a goofy mission. So like the game is fun. It is kind of cool to like control the like other teammates as you just only control Starboard, but then commanding them to do stuff. So I thought it was a really good game. It was really fun. So if you haven't played Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely.
Yeah, I think that was one of the superhero games that like really dropped down in price really early on, but at the same time, like now, I think a lot of places you could find it was $20 or less.
Yeah.
You might not find it like at $15 anymore just because the Black Friday season is over, but it's possible somebody might have it for Christmas for at 15. But definitely everywhere about 20, everywhere for sure. That was one of the better ones, but it got hit with the plague of like all the ones that were like live service or whatever, and so it kind of didn't get the recognition that it should have gotten. But overall, it was considered a good game. I think a lot of people who have played it, I have not heard anything bad about it. Only the reputation based off of like Marvel Avengers, but it wasn't really fair. But yeah, definitely check that game out. I think it's possible, maybe not right away, but I wouldn't be surprised if that game does get a surprise sequel. Somebody might come back to it. I don't know. If it happens, it will be either at the end of this generation or at the start of the next generation. Because some of the other games, like Remnant 2 is a good example. I didn't expect Remnant to even have a sequel. I thought Remnant was something that was like completely like niche. Like it was Souls game like, but it was niche. I think Alan Wake 2 is probably even worse, where I feel like, I don't know. Alan Wake was a game where I thought I was the only person who cared. And I honestly still think that, because it's the game that literally the industry is praising it, so they ain't got to praise other stuff like what I said, but I don't know who's the audience for that. Like, does that game have an audience, Alan Wake 2? Because I don't hear nobody talk about playing it. Like, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, it won awards, but like, does it have a player base? Is what I'm saying.
I think it might grow once people found out that it's a super interconnected universe. With there's a hint at a particular character who I guess a lot of people did want to return. So it has a player base. I don't know if it's the largest player base, but I have heard talking.
Well, definitely hit up Epic Games, who helped publish it. They have a crazy deal for it where they allow you to get the older game for free, like I said, once you buy it under them. And if you apply their coupon and everything, you can get it all the way down to like in the middle 20s. But if you are going to play it, definitely go into the franchise playing it from a start to finish. So you will start with the first Alan Wake. You can start with Remastered. From Remastered, go to Alan Wake American Nightmare. From there, go over to Quantum Break. You will see the Alan Wake connection somewhere in the beginning of it. I will show that at some point. I already got the footage on it. From there, you jump to Control and play the Control DLC that has Alan Wake in it. Then from there, that's when we're going to Alan Wake 2. Play the whole thing and see all the connections, see all the stuff, like get the full feel of the art.
Look at their studio and definitely play. There's also another game that they made that you should play the first Alan Wake. Like I don't know. Should I spoil?
Should you spoil what?
There's a character that kind of appears in Alan Wake, like instead of previous game.
Oh, I mean, I guess let the people figure that out, because at the same time, if I could compare it,
after you play through it, there's an old game that you should go back and play. Put it that way.
I think you could say the same thing about Resident Evil fans and stuff, because a lot of Resident Evil, like if you were to start from start to finish of the storyline timeline, you'll quickly see that like it's kind of all over the place, because they're jumping all over the place, because right before 4 they have 8. Right before 8 it was 3, right before 3 it was 2, and then it was 7, and it's just like it's all over the place. But there are characters that show up in certain games that you don't see for a while, like Leon is a star right now, but like he's missing in quite a few games, and then he shows back up. Chris Redfield is missing technically. If you play it in timeline wise, he shows up and then literally doesn't show up for a long time, and then come right back and then disappear again and then come back again. So like,
you know what though? Remedy, I just looked up the games that they're making, and apparently they're going to be making a remake of the one that I'm talking about, so don't worry about it. It'll be coming out soon. Did you know they're making a Control 2?
Yes, I was just going to mention it.
I did not realize
yeah,
that.
So yeah, they have
else as well.
They have the potential to get themselves up there in nowhere near where Resident Evil is at this point, but at least get themselves up there where they'll have a solid franchise to keep them afloat, where they can become a very strong third-party publisher, where they can just put out games basically, and they are tying into each other here and there, but they have like their stuff basically, and it's like we are on the same level as some of the other like big publishers. So maybe 10 years from now they could probably catch up to a Square Enix, a Capcom, or a Ubisoft or something. They have a long ways to go before they can actually get their name in that like next to them, but they could set up some franchises, you know, and see what happens. But yeah, man, I think we can wrap it up. Anything else you want to mention?
Nah, I'm all set. Let us know what's your favorite and least favorite game you played in the comments.
Yeah, definitely check out your local stores. Look at some of these liquidations. It's not all doom and gloom on the physical side. You can get some great deals right now. I don't think everybody's gonna get rid of physical completely in stores, and you'll still be able to buy on Amazon. But we'll see, and I'll keep my eyes out there in my area and report back as weeks go on. But yeah, other than that, that's all I got for you here. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. I will catch you on the next video. Peace.